Deputy Speaker, and again, what absolute rot and untruths from the Labor Party. Time and time again they come to this chamber and they do the same. Now, firstly, can I just acknowledge the 20 years of service from the member for Braddon who has put forward this motion today, and I thank him and other men and women who have given themselves in service to our military and to the people of Australia. It is a pleasure to support a motion put forward by him. But it is not surprising at all that Labor again drivel untruths to try to tell a story. Now, we know that Labor's spend on defence when they were in office was actually lower than before World War II. Before World War II. An absolute and utter disgrace. 1.5% of GDP. And again, it takes a coalition government, the only side of politics that happens to know how to run an economy, to be able to ensure that defence spending is lifted, defence spending on track to 2% of GDP. Now, part of that is the largest recapitalisation program that this country has seen in a long, long time, Deputy Speaker. And a part of that recapitalisation program is for the Army. Within the Army, the land program, and within land, of course, we have Land 400 Phase 2, which is the building of 211 combat reconnaissance vehicles, a contract that has been the largest in the history of the Australian Army, won by Rheinmetall, and to be delivered through Queensland. Now, clearly, Labor have a problem with Queensland because of what happened in last year's federal election. Now, look, if you don't get support from Queensland at the election, it gives you no right to stand in this chamber and try to suggest that something be taken away from Queensland. A cheap trick to try to actually penalise the very state that just hasn't given you support. It is of absolute no coincidence that they stand up opposing companies in Queensland that will benefit from this job. Now, Deputy Speaker, one of the wonderful things about the way that this government has run procurement is to make sure that small and medium businesses also reap rewards. And that is precisely what is going to be happening with a particularly high Australian industry content out of this program. We're talking here about a $5 billion procurement project that will probably have at least that amount of spending on its sustainment and through life support. Now, through the Rheinmetall job, we know that about 330 Queenslanders will be directly employed to deliver on those reconnaissance vehicles. We also know that it'll be up to 450 when you count for other people based at Rheinmetall headquarters. Now, is this the largest contribution of jobs through that contract throughout the country? Yes, it is, Deputy Speaker. Queensland does win big time out of Rheinmetall. Indeed, Land 400 Phase 2 establishes not only a large contract for our Army, but a capability of our local industry where we can not only ensure the transfer of intellectual property from Germany, but we can also build deep expertise that goes into new products that we export, Deputy Speaker. Now, those opposite don't like that idea. Why? Because it's Queensland. They don't like that idea because Queensland, who obviously did not support them in last year's federal election, is the big winner out of this Land 400 Phase 2 jobs. Now, of course, they like to tell mistruths, they like to misuse numbers, and they misuse numbers again with the over 1,400 jobs at the peak of the manufacturing and sustainment. Now, they know that the jobs which are divvied up and can be specified by state, with Queensland getting 330, is for the procurement piece. But the big high-level number of over 1,400 at the peak includes sustainment, for which there has not been a breakdown. Again, it's Labor mistruths, Deputy Speaker. So here's the rub. Queensland, with support from the LNP Team Queensland, the colleagues here on this side of the House, with not a word from those on the other side, helped advocate to ensure that this, the single largest contract in the history of the Australian Army, came to our state. And it is our state that is building that expertise. It is our state that will win. It is our state that will get the jobs. And if Labor has a problem with it, then they should put up and tell us exactly where they want those jobs to go, if not
Order.
Queensland.
The question